Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss inflammation, introduction and types of inflammation. While considering inflammation, it comes under pathophysiology, GTU third semester. Myself Dinesh Dangar. Okay, starting with definition. What is inflammation and how exactly we can define inflammation? See, basically inflammation is a kind of response. What? The inflammation is a kind of biological complex response from those vascular tissues towards the harmful stimuli such as pathogens, damaged cells or the irritants. Okay, so inflammation is defined as the a kind of local response of the living mammalian tissues to injury from any kind of agents like pathogens or damaged cells or the irritants. While considering inflammation, we can consider it is a part of protective attempt, and with the help of this protective attempt the damage can be reduced or it can be minimized, and inflammation may again leading ahead towards the healing process that completes once inflammation is done or the completed. After that there will be a healing, and inflammation helps to clear the infections. As we know that inflammation is a distinct form of the from the infection. So while considering inflammation is a kind of protective response by the body towards the variety of etiologic agents. It could be a infectious or the non-infectious. While infection is invasion into the body by certain harmful microbes and the resultant ill effects by the toxins, and it generally involves two basic processes with even some maybe overlapping onto it, that is early inflammatory responses and the later that will be followed by the healing. Though these two processes generally have a protective role against those injurious agents, inflammation and healing may cause considerable harm to the body as well as like anaphylaxis to bites by insects or the reptiles due to the drugs, toxins, due to the atherosclerosis, chronic rheumatoid arthritis, fibrous bands and the adhesions in intestinal obstructions. What could be the cause behind the inflammation? While considering the causes of inflammation, it can be further divided or categorized into four. It may have a origin from those physical agents, chemical agents, infective agents, and those immunological agents. While considering physical agents, it includes heat, cold, radiation, and mechanical trauma. From chemical agents, it could be of organic and the inorganic poisonous materials. From infective agents, it can be bacteria, virus, and they developed toxins or they developed product can have a inflammation. In cases of immunological agents, we can consider those cell mediated and the antigen antibody reactions. While coming to the signs of inflammation, that how exactly we can come to know that the inflammation is progressing or it is going ahead. In that case, the Roman writer, and the name was Celsus, in 1st century AD, he has named four basic cardinal signs of the inflammation, and later one, the fifth one, was added during the 19th century. Those four signs were rubor, tumor, calor, and the dolor. In that, rubor means redness. There will be a redness of skin. In cases of tumor, we can consider the formation of the bleb or the swelling, which may have already pre-filled with the liquid or the edematous fluid. Third sign could be the calor, that is what the heat, and the fourth, that is dolor. Dolor indicates pain. During 19th century, one more word was added into that includes as a new sign of the inflammation, that is functional ASA. Functional ASA means loss of function, and that specific surrounding tissues where exactly inflammation is pertaining, there will be a loss of the functions. Okay, next going ahead with the types of inflammation. While considering types of inflammation, depending upon the defense capacity of the host and the duration of response, inflammation can be classified as acute inflammation and the chronic inflammation. As word indicates, acute, it will be of short duration and it may last less than 2 weeks, and it represents the early body reactions, and it may be resolved very quickly and it will be followed by the healing. While considering the features of the acute inflammation, it involves the accumulation of fluid and the plasma at the affected site, right, where exactly the inflammation may be going, right. In that area there will be accumulation of fluid, and we used to call it as a edematous fluid or the edematous gathering. Next, it may have a intravascular activation of platelets, so those platelets will get activated. And third one, that is polymorphonuclear neutrophils, right, it acts as a inflammatory cells. Sometimes the acute inflammatory response may be quite severe and is termed as a fulminant acute inflammation. So acute inflammation involves just the initial responses. After that, there will be increased movement of the plasma and the leukocytes, leading to edematous fluid gathering, and it will be followed by the wound healing or the healing. In cases of chronic inflammation, as word indicates chronic, it means it may be survived for a longer duration, and it occurs generally after delay, either after the causative agent of acute inflammation persists for a longer time, or due to the stimulus is such that it induces the chronic inflammation from the beginning, right. So while here the most important thing that can separate these two, that is the the strength of the stimulus. It could be any sign, or it could be any, or what we can say, like due to that causative agents, or due to the strength of the specific cause, it can lead to have a acute inflammation and the chronic inflammation. So here there will be, in cases of chronic inflammation, there will be a simultaneous destruction, and the healing of the tissue even may have a longer duration. In many cases, there will be a subacute inflammation. In the cases of inflammation, it may be ranging between these two, that is acute inflammation and chronic. So we can divide into three: acute inflammation, subacute inflammation, and the chronic inflammation. But according to the syllabus, that is after from the GTU, what we need to undergo, that is the acute inflammation and the chronic inflammation. So starting with the acute inflammation, what could be the cause for the acute inflammation? It might be because of microbial infections like pyrogenic bacteria or the viruses. It might be because of hypersensitivity reactions like parasites and the tubercular bacilli, from physical agents like trauma, ionizing radiation, heat and cold, chemicals like corrosives, acids, alkalis, certain reducing agents and the bacterial toxins can lead to have acute inflammation. Next, there will be a due to acute inflammation might be because of tissue necrosis, where it involves ischemic infarctions, and while considering their duration, it may sustain from few minutes to hours or 1 to 2 days. And there are 4 cardinal signs, that is the rubor, that is redness, the color, that is heat, next is the tumor, that is swelling, and the dolor, that is pain. So what we have seen here, that the causes and the duration of the acute inflammation. In cases of acute inflammation, generally response is given by the host towards any agent, right, which may be in a continuous process, but for the purpose of discussion. Here we will divide this acute inflammation into two, that is vascular events and the cellular events. Next, that is the components of the acute inflammation. While considering the components, what it involves, components means what it involves. It involves altered vascular permeability. Next one, structural changes in microvasculature and the immigration of leukocytes from the microcirculation. Here in diagram we can see that what we have a artery or vein. Here in this case it is covered with the smooth muscle. Next is the specific vessel. Next is the endothelium base or the endothelium basement. Next is there will be again basement membrane, and above there will be a presence of smooth muscle. It is what the external or the outer surface of the any blood vessel. While considering it, it involves those polymorphonuclear leukocytes, lymphocytes, platelets, monocytes, clotting factor, basophil, eosinophil, even we can consider here red blood cell and other segments. While considering this is what is the normal condition. In cases of damage or inflammation, these three can be seen, that is altered vascular permeability. Before going to altered vascular permeability, we need to understand what is vascular permeability. Here, vascular, that refers to the vessels, and the permeability, that is to capacity of permeation. Any substance that can permeate or pass through the vessel, and that capacity may depend on the size of the specific cells that can penetrate the cell or the layer. Vascular permeability generally causes the local increase in blood flow, that is what vasodilatation. See, while considering altered vascular permeability, those cells may be present in intracellular fluid or in not intracellular fluid, in inside the lumen, or we can say that inside the blood vessel, may migrate towards the extracellular compartment, or we can say that the outer of that specific blood vessels. And next is there is structural changes in microvasculature that permits the plasma protein to leave the circulation. That might be because of the altered vascular permeability. And next one, that is there will be a immigration of those leukocytes, that is specific polymorphonuclear cells, right? It may leave the circulation, that is from inside the vessel. It may come outside into the the surrounding plasma or surrounding tissues, and there will be accumulation of it, and it can lead to have edematous fluid gathering. And generally the events that is associated with acute inflammation can be divided into two parts. First, that is those vascular changes or the vascular events, and the cellular changes or the cellular events. Okay, first, that is vascular events. In cases of vascular events, there will be a alteration in microvasculature, that is artery, capillaries, and the venules, right? It being relatively quick after injury, but may develop at variable rates and depending on the nature and severity of the original injury. See here, vascular change. It always depends on the specific blood vessels, whether it is artery, vein, or the capillaries, and up to which extent it is damaged. If it is damaged in a severe way, there will be a vascular change immediately, and the substances may leave the circulation. In cases of acute injury, there might not be any change in vascular changes. right? So the more the severe, more the impact of the specific agent, there will be a more and more, those specific cells and the, the plasma it may come into those, surrounding tissues which may be surrounded by the, or which may be present in between those blood vessels. So here vascular changes, and it includes two, that is hemodynamic changes and the altered vascular permeability. While coming to first, that is hemodynamic change. See, hemodynamic changes or the changes in vascular flow can be divided into generally 5 steps. First, that is transient vasoconstriction. Second, that is persistent progressive vasodilatation. Third, that is the local hydrostatic pressure. Fourth, that is slowing or the stasis. And fifth, that is leukocytic margination. What exactly will happen after injury? Right? That is what hemodynamic change. See, try to understand those words like hemodynamic change. Right? There will be a alteration, or there will be a, in many cases there might be increased blood flow or the, decreased blood flow depending on the severity of the causative agent or the inflammatory agent. Here in normal individual cases, as I have mentioned earlier, first there will be a potent vasoconstriction. Potent vasoconstriction of this specific artery or vein to minimize or to reduce the loss of blood or the blood cell. Next, after that, there will be a progressive vasodilatation, and that progressive vasodilatation allows to move the substances and to gather the specific cells at the site of the injury. Third, that is what the local hydrostatic pressure. Here, in cases of local hydrostatic pressure, it will be resulted from the transudation, that is the transudation of fluid into the extracellular space, and this is responsible for the swelling at the local site of the acute inflammation. Next is we can consider that the slowing, that is what the leukocytic margination, that is what the fourth point, that is the slowing or the stasis, that is what the microcirculation, and it follows generally increased concentration of red cells, and thus raised blood viscosity can be seen with the slowing or the stasis. Number fifth, that is what the leukocyte margination, or the process can be termed as the immigration, right? During this immigration, or there will be a peripheral orientation of those leukocytes, mainly neutrophils, and along with the vascular endothelium, that specific layer, right? So there will be arrangement of those specific cells in a single plane or single row. So that's why it is called as a margination. It forms a margin or the layer, right? So it is called as a leukocyte migration and the immigration. Here in normal individual cases, as we can see here in diagram, there will be a blood flow from those specific blood vessels, right? In cases of injury, we can see that those specific cells which should be present in microvasculature, it should be present within the lumen or within the blood vessels. It may come out, or it may be transported from the intracellular to the extracellular compartment, or from within the lumen to the external side of the artery or the vein. And we can see here there are numerous cells are present that may have a role in development of the the change in microvasculature and the formation of the swelling at the local site of the acute inflammation. So that is about the hemodynamic change. Next is altered vascular permeability. Right here, in cases of altered vascular permeability, while coming to the altered vascular permeability, as name indicates, altered, that means change. Vascular permeability, vascular, that refers to the vessel, and the permeability, that is to have a permeation capacity or the permeation power for each individual cells, and those specific substances which may be present inside the lumen or in a blood vessel. And here you can see here in diagram below that specific polymorphonuclear cell is present within the blood vessel. And next image, you can see that due to the injury, it may undergo changes, that specific vascular permeability. There will be change in vascular permeability, and so that that polymorphic cell or the monocyte itself can permeate from the inner structure to the outer structure of the blood vessel, and it can go outside. Here, in case of altered vascular permeability, it starts with the vasodilatation, and as soon as vasodilation occur, there will be an increased blood flow towards the the specific site of the injury, right? And the vasodilatation and the blood flow that increases, leading to the increase in intravascular hydrostatic pressure, right? So there will be elevation of intravascular hydrostatic pressure, and which could result into the increased filtration of those fluids which may be present inside the lumen or into the blood vessel, that is from the capillaries. And this fluid called as a transudate, right? They are called as a transudate, and it is essentially and the ultra filtrate of blood plasma, and it contains little protein even, right? And whatever the little fluid is left into the interstitial compartment, it will be drained away by the lymphatic, and thus no edema results normally. So while considering this transudate, it can be seen as soon as that fluid will be gathered, right? And this specific transudate or the removal of that specific liquid from the site of the injury even is essential. In inflamed tissues, the endothelial lining of the microvasculature becomes more leakier, right? In cases of inflamed tissues, the more and more, those specific cells and the blood plasma may leave the microcirculation, and it may come into the, the surrounding tissues or the neighboring cells. Here, in cases of intravascular osmotic pressure, as soon as it decreases and the osmotic pressure of the interstitial fluid increases, it could, results into the excessive outward flow of the fluid into the interstitial compartment, which is the exudative inflammatory edema. Next is, so what we have discussed, that is the vascular changes. In the cases of vascular events or the vascular changes, we have seen these two, that is hemodynamic changes, where it may involve the transient vasoconstriction in starting as soon as injury happens. Next is the transient vasoconstriction will be followed by the persistent progressive vasodilatation, and further there will be increase in the local hydrostatic pressure, can lead to swelling at the local site of the acute inflammation, and then there will be a slowing or the stasis. That slowing maybe can help into reduce the the blood flow that is going or that is transported back to the that injured site, right? And at last there will be a leukocyte margination, so that white blood cells or the WBC cells may forms a kind of a layer, or we can say that there will be that orientation of those leukocyte or the specific neutrophils at the site of the injury, at the basement of the endothelium or the vascular endothelium. Next, we have gone through the altered vascular permeability, and altered vascular permeability can have or we can say that there will be a escape of those specific blood cells and the plasma material from the microcirculation to the surroundings cells and the tissues, and then there will be a gathering of the specific fluid. Obviously, that after that, once that injury may move towards the second phase, that is healing, very same time the fluid will be again revert back, or it will be reabsorbed inside the body or inside the surrounding cells and the tissues, and that can be termed as a ultrafiltrate, so that the site of injury can be cleared and it may revert back to the normal condition. The next condition, that is that what we need to listen now, that is the cellular changes, or a kind of cellular changes that we can observe with the in cases of the injury, right? Here, in cases of inflammation, first that was vascular events, second that is cellular events, and we will see these cellular changes or the cellular events in our part 2 lecture, right? So we will have a second video for this specific point. Thank you very much.